Okay, I think we're ready to get started. So thanks everyone. I'd like to warmly welcome you to ACTA's webinar on an introduction to Braver Angels, student debates on campus. Thanks so much for being with us today. And today's event was inspired as a follow-up to ACTA's joint conference that we held with the Alumni Free Speech Alliance in Washington, D.C. at the end of February. And we're so fortunate to have Doug Sprei and Chandler Skinner here to talk about the campus debate effort, which is a partnership between ACTA and Braver Angels. And before I introduce them, I have two reasons that I think you'll want to consider the idea of a student-led debate on campus. So the first reason is that it is free. And from our conversations in DC, I know a lot of you are still getting off the grounds in terms of your fundraising and 501c3 status. But thanks to the generous support of some foundation donors, the campus debate program is something that ACTA and Braver Angels are able to do at no cost to our partners. And then the second reason is this is something that can be moved forward right now. So as we discussed at length at the summit, we all face an uphill battle when it comes to restoring a culture of free expression on campus. And it's not something that will change overnight, but programs like these campus debates are an important step forward in the right direction. And it's something positive that can be done in the short term. So with that, I'd like to introduce Doug Sprei, my colleague at ACTA. He is the Director of Multimedia and Campus Partnerships, and he hosts and produces ACTA's podcast, Higher Ed Now, which I would highly recommend subscribing to if you've not already. He leads our student debate initiatives and alliances with organizations like Braver Angels, BridgeUSA, and Students for Free Expression, where he serves on the board of directors. Doug is the leader of the College Debates and Discourse program, which launched in 2018, bringing civil discourse and depolarization to student communities across the nation. Doug earned his BA in Communications and Film from the University of Rochester and is a guitarist and dedicated musician in his spare time, as I'm sure you can tell from his Zoom background. Chandler Skinner works as Program Associate for Braver Angels Debate and Public Discourse Program, where he coordinates online and in-person college debates, manages interns and 60 volunteers, and tracks grants. Chandler graduated summa cum laude from the University of Houston in 2021 and has a degree in music education. I also want to give a quick thank you to Emily Burton-Reese, who's my colleague at ACTA, who did a great job organizing this. And Emily is a music performance major. So I think I'm the only one on the screen right now without any musical talent. So maybe we can do a jam session after this. So we're going to have time for Q&A following Doug and Chandler's presentations. Feel free to type questions in the chat as we go. And then when we get to the Q&A, feel free to raise your real or Zoom hand and unmute to the presenters. So with that, I will turn things over to Doug.
All right, everyone. Nice to meet you. Nice to have you all with us. I know I've met some of you individually and a couple of you together at the latest AFSA bash that we had last month, and it was quite wonderful. And I've actually talked about this program to a number of you, but we thought it would be good to kind of give a global presentation to the whole AFSA universe, record this, and you can cascade this out to your colleagues at the different chapters. So I'm going to just share my screen and make it full. So yes, I'm leading this alliance of ACTA, Braver Angels, and BridgeUSA, a triumvirate of wonderful nonprofits that are all in on free speech and academic freedom and viewpoint diversity on college campuses, changing the culture. And it's really a marriage made in heaven, I have to say. It was born in ACTA's conference room, actually, in 2018, when David Blankenhorn and Jonathan Rauch of what was then called Better Angels came to visit us and started talking about the incredible programs that they were running around the country. And immediately, on a personal level, I think I just responded right away. I felt I just wanted to be involved with this because I felt that I needed it personally, and I feel the country needs it. There's just so much toxic polarization out there. There's so much breakdown of communication on social media, mass media, and in society, and this seemed like a real antidote. So initially, it was just a personal dancing of my own heart that kind of propelled me into this. But lo and behold, with the support of Michael Polyakov and ACTA, realizing that this really intersects with ACTA's mission around academic freedom very naturally. We just started to work immediately with David and John, and I met April Lawson soon after that, who is the architect of the Braver Angels debates. And so we started to see synergies right away. So ACTA has, as you know, just extensive reach into the higher ed community at the presidential level, the trustee level, the governance level, and, also the faculty and student level. And we've got some, marketing and media expertise and project management. Braver Angels is a new organization started in 2016, and it's grown just like wildfire from a small gathering in Ohio where I just was a few days ago of, 10 Hillary voters and 10 Trump voters getting together and hashing it out together and coming to find some common ground, or at least some peaceful discourse. It's grown into a huge grassroots movement with thousands of volunteers and just workshops being given all over the country. And we're playing in, braver politics now, and the college space and the community space. Chandler is really, he's got both feet in that world, and you'll learn more about that from him. And then BridgeUSA is this incredible student-driven organization led by students who are either, upperclassmen at campuses around the country or just recent graduates, and they're just all in on this kind of work. And they're doing all kinds of very innovative programs, and they're just a natural fit to us. So then we've got this ground game with the students and the incredible philosophy and methodologies of Braver Angels and some of the operational expertise of ACTA, and it all combines into this wonderful program. So it's led by three of us, and we've got a team that's building, and we're expanding into research, and we're expanding into a lot of different directions that I'll elaborate on in a few minutes. So right now, as of today, I think we just came back from Ohio, and I think we're up to 84 debates held on campuses and in classrooms across at least 40 institutions. And there's many students have come from other colleges who have just joined these debates. So it's actually many more that we just haven't been able to all capture in our data. But the growth has been really quite dramatic. And we started initially just going to college campuses and launching debates live on campuses. And then when the pandemic hit, we thought we might have to put this on ice for a while. But it turned out that the pandemic really caused exponential growth because colleges were really hungry for innovative online programming. And so we just started moving into the online world and creating, staging Braver Angels debates online that were as effective as what we could do in the classroom and on campus. This is just a small sampling of the colleges we worked with, from Arizona State to Xavier. There are many more in the pipeline, and the spring semester calendar is really exploding right now. This is the heart of it. A Braver Angels debate is something specific. It's not a competitive debate. There's no one trying to win or one up the other side. It's a collective search for truth, and it's done with a light parliamentary touch that kind of elevates the dialogue and brings out the best critical thinking and courageous speech from students. And it's also, as I say, pressure tested, and I'll show you that in a bit, to really accommodate some of the most explosive and divisive topics that we have, going in society today. It's a special format, and there are people, a number of us have been trained to chair them. And now we're expanding that field of trainers so that it can become eventually a self-sustainable program, germinating on many college campuses. Now, it also differs from the sweep of national debates that Braver Angels does, and Chandler's heavily involved with those. They draw thousands of people from across the country, from, of the older generations primarily. But the college debates are really they start out as private affairs because colleges have their own protocols for privacy, and, this is really for the students. Sometimes they expand into a community collegiate debate, which is wonderful. But, at a base level, we're really starting to work with the students. And the whole thing revolves around giving the students ownership as much as possible of putting this thing together. So for starters, what do they want the topic to be? What's the resolution going to be? What's top of mind for students in this particular campus? And we start to work with them. We have a kind of a playbook and a blueprint for forging a very efficient, easy to execute process that doesn't put too much work on anyone's shoulders, and really kind of comports to the whole way a college runs, you know, its own semester, the rhythm of the semester or the quarter that they're on. We know that professors and students are super busy, and we don't want this to be some kind of cumbersome add-on, you know, or boat anchor around their neck. I mean, we really want it to be something that's fun to put together, that enhances the semester, enhances the curricular goals and lesson plans that the teachers are developing, and we're really kind of making some innovative inroads there. So, you know, finding a way to make it harmonious has been key, and the whole thing is really successful because of this nucleus we build of a planning team, which consists of at least one faculty member, faculty leader, or administrative leader on campus, and maybe a few. And they're usually there year after year, so they've got some stable presence, and the students are cycling in and out, as you know. But if we can get a couple students wrapped around that faculty person, then we build a cohort, and the students are on, you know, on the ground, and they're able to kind of promote this to their peers, and we build little student teams to take as much ownership of the debate initiative as possible. And that's how we've been successful to doing, in terms of doing as many debates as we've done. Most of the 84 that we've done have been kind of, you know, germinated from this model, from this seed. Now, here's kind of like the panorama of what they look like in terms of the topics. And these go back a couple years to now, you know, from defunding the police in Texas to censorship on social media at ASU last year. A lot of topics around free speech. A lot of, you know, controversial speech. Is controversial speech hate speech? Deplatforming controversial speakers, and that kind of thing. We've also done probably 10 debates with some variation of, you know, the COVID vaccine mandates and passports and so forth. Is it right for our campus? Is it right for the country? Is it right for the world? You know, and in each case, we kind of customize the debate event to what the students are really looking for and the vision they have. And they can be also very, very local or very timely in character. So in Oregon, we work with several colleges in Oregon wrapped around Lynn Benton Community College, and the Portland protests were raging. You know, are they doing more good than harm? Incredible debate there that was turned into an intercollegiate one in Oregon. Went to Denison University last fall, and I just got back from Denison just yet last night, actually. We did a second one, but they chose initially a free speech topic for their first debate at Denison. Virginia Military Institute here in Virginia, a couple hours from where I live in Manassas, is just a wonderful partner for us. We've done 5 or 6 debates with them already, and this is the latest one we did just earlier this year. Because they have a lot of female cadets, and, you know, this is the topic that they wanted to choose. Here's an example of a collegiate debate burgeoning into something more, you know, joining with the community. We started working with Allegheny College of Maryland and Frostburg State, a 2-year and a 4-year, the debate society students from those schools and some professors. But people in the community in rural Maryland, Allegheny County, got wind of this and said, hey, we'd like to be involved. We have a day of civility on April 8th, 2021. Can we do something with you? So we invited them in, and we ended up having, you know, 100 students and a whole lot of people from the community. And so the students got to debate healthcare, government-sponsored healthcare, with not only them among themselves, but across generations. And it turned out to be just a really revealing event for us, because we saw the potential for some of these college debates to kind of expand into the community and pull in a lot of energy and support, which is quite wonderful. A couple more examples. I mean, this is actually just 2 days ago. I just got back from Xavier University in Cincinnati. This was their topic. And what I'm showing you this for is because, you know, the students choose topics that can be national or international, and of course this one is quite timely, as you can imagine. And then, you know, the next night they chose something completely different at Denison University. It's just like eliminating Greek life from our campus. And these are photographs of the actual debates and people that, you know, we were with. And I'm still on cloud 9 from this trip, because the debates were powerful, the students were incredible, the professors were very, very happy. Denison University has now asked us to work with them to develop, of all things, kind of a debate and a workshop component so that they can actually include that in orientation for freshmen at the end of August, if you can believe it. So when students set foot on Denison's campus, something that they would be immersed in right away is a signal that Denison is all in on free speech, academic freedom, viewpoint diversity, and there's a culture of that on campus. So freshman orientation is just not going to be about where are the dorms and here's the program and the logistical stuff. It's like, what's the philosophy of our campus? And that's kind of an innovation I never even expected we would be playing in, but that's typical. Here's just a couple more examples. This is happening next week, looking ahead to the coming week. Occidental College in Los Angeles, Sul Ross State University in the middle in Texas, which I'm chairing on Zoom next week. And then Duke University I'll be at on Wednesday, April 6th. And on the left, Occidental, April Lawson, my colleague will be chairing that one. Now, lastly, when it comes to topics, this format of the Braver Angels debate does not shy away from anything, that is intimidating. And so the students at TFAS, the Fund for American Studies, chose transgender athletes, and we've actually done this a few times with different schools. And it turned out to be such a powerful debate that TFAS came back to us last summer and ended up asking us to do 6 debates for 300 students on 6 different topics. And now I just got off the phone yesterday with them, and they want to repeat that in the summer with us for their cohort of 300 students coming to DC. So we're going to be really busy this summer working with TFAS as a partner. And lastly, we did an abortion topic in the fall with Sul Ross State University. And, again, sometimes I hold my breath a little bit, but they always turn out well. They channel the most passionate energy from students and elevate the dialogue into something that's really transformative for students when they come out of it. Here's what they actually look like. This is TFAS last summer at George Mason University. This was the first live on-campus debate I chaired in 16 months since March 3rd, 2020 because of the pandemic. And the students are really typically very engaged. They don't always wear formal attire. They usually don't, but this is TFAS's mode. But they're very, they're asking questions, they're making speeches. There's never hardly any silences. And that's really so energizing for everyone. And similarly on Zoom, we've been able to replicate that energy in an online environment. And this is what a Zoom debate looks like. Oh, there might be multiple screens because we can have, more than 100 students at a time on Zoom. And these are very powerful as well, I have to say. And Chandler just let me know, I think we've done like 40 plus debates on Zoom and 40 in campus and classroom live. So kind of equal amount, both formats. And we can actually flex hybrid wise. So here's Mark Urista, my colleague at our faculty advisor in Oregon, Lynn Benton Community College in the middle. And he's got high school and college students in a room that's equipped for Zoom and microphones and cameras. And then we're chairing the debate from 3,000 miles away in DC, working with the students. And that was an experiment, and it was successful. Now, I want to turn your attention to just a couple of other things about the program before turning it over to Chandler, who's going to talk about our survey results and what the program is really looking like in terms of its impact. We started last year for the first time in our 4-year history to get be approached by foundations, and we submitted grant applications, and we successfully submitted grants to the Arthur Vining Davis Foundation, Sarah Scaife, CFF, and also locally in Texas, the Hatton Sumners Foundation. So it's upwards of almost $500,000 in funding, which has enabled us to pay staff, grow the program, scale up, and we spent a couple months, and we're still in the thick of it, with a $1.3 million proposal to the Templeton Foundation, which has really stretched us in terms of our vision and our imagination. We won't know till June whether this proposal is accepted, but they've come back to us 3 times, asked us to actually raise the amount of money, elevate the amount of money we were asking for to include more research. They've given us a lot of feedback, and I'm as I say, I don't know if we're going to get it, but the thing that I really want to mention about that is that no matter what happens with Templeton, we've decided on a kind of direction for the program in terms of what it will look like in the next couple of years. So we're going to continue to grow horizontally across the country because more and more institutions want to work with us. The phone is ringing. We don't do a lot of cold calling. But really, as that horizontal growth takes place, we want to build a national cohort of students and faculty. And Chandler is actually leading the charge to build a student leadership component that has some lasting impact and lasting value to keep our program alive and growing in the future. And we're also doing the same thing on a parallel path with faculty. So the high priority here is to go deep on 10 to 20 campuses and turn them into kind of what I call hubs of discourse, and Templeton calls communities of practice. And that means that we do sustainable work, debates, semester after semester, and other types of events, both in campuses and classrooms, so that we can study the results and measure them and do sustained work and really go deeper, and that then unite those communities of practice locally into a national community, and we're starting to map out how to share our findings and best practices in different ways through journals and conferences and symposia, etc. And another high priority comes from the Arthur Vining Davis Foundation, which is to develop a curricular tool set, for the teachers who want to actually build a Braver Angels debate into their lesson plans, giving it as a classroom assignment. And we've done many of these. And we created this toolkit, which is 13 pages long and always evolving. And basically, it equips teachers to run Braver Angels debates. Mark Urista even did one as a final test, a final exam for his students. So a lot of this innovation is being driven by the faculty themselves. We didn't come into it expecting this, but many suggestions have been made and lots of exploratory partnerships and really, really innovative thinking is going on. And that's also then percolated, kind of really stimulated even more by the work we're doing with Templeton and other foundations to grow the program. So the metrics piece is really, really important to us. And while we're waiting, whether or not we get Templeton, we've already got a ground game going with surveying and getting results and, gathering metrics and doing measurement. And I want to turn the presentation over to Chandler, who's going to speak to you about that and share his screen. And you can dovetail right with what I've just done, Chandler. So you have the floor.
Great. Thank you so much, Doug. I'm so happy to be here and to be able to talk to you about this program. I'm going to walk you through some of the data and metrics associated with the program, as well as our survey results that we've gotten. So there's a big set of numbers up here at the top. Some of them, so we've done 84 college debates. And interestingly, we've done an equal number of in-person on-campus debates, as well as online debates. We've served approximately 3,400 students. We've done 19 debates at colleges that have 50% or greater of their student population low income or first-gen students. And 3 of our debates have been at institutions that are either an HBCU or a predominantly Black institution. The smallest institution that we've served is Magdalen College with an undergraduate population of 82. And the largest institution that we've served is Arizona State University's main campus with a student population of just over 44,000. From our survey results, the most important and interesting question that we're gathering info on is, did anything in the debate cause you to reevaluate your position, even if you didn't change your mind? And just over 70% of participants say yes, which is something that we did not expect. And it really shows that we're having an impact on students because they're rethinking their position during the course of the debate. Here you can see, our list of all of the institutions that we've served over time. And then at the top of this list, you can see that there are a number that have come back to us multiple times. Here's a sampling of all of the topics, just like Doug went through, of the different topics that campuses have covered. So we ask a handful of 5-point survey questions. You can see that a good number of students have stopped themselves from sharing their ideas or opinions in classes. And that they felt, a large majority felt that the debate experience gave them a more positive outlook on political discourse going forward, whether that's in our debate format or political discourse in general. Specific to the debate, a huge majority feel that they have a greater understanding of not only the other viewpoints, but a greater respect for the people who hold those viewpoints, which is really important for us. That's kind of our whole goal, is humanizing the other side. Slightly skewed positively is people who feel that after the debate, they're more likely to share their ideas or opinions in classes, which shows that, you know, we're having somewhat of an impact outside of the debate experience on the college campuses and what those classes look like. And an overwhelming majority would recommend this debate experience to people who they know. Lastly, we collect information on demographics. So just over a third, or sorry, right around a third of the students that we serve are consider themselves to be conservative. About 20% don't declare, they're middle of the road, something like that. And about 2/3 are liberal. About 2/3 are traditionally college age, so between 18 and 24 years old, and about 1/3 of the participants, likely professors or faculty on the campuses, are over the age of 25 or non-traditionally aged college students. We're pretty equal in the genders that we serve. And here's just a quick map kind of showing you across the United States where we've had an impact geographically. And to the right of that map, you can see some schools with religious affiliations that we've had. So we've served those 5 religious affiliations with schools. But yeah, that's a really quick look at the data and metrics and the survey results of what we've done. It's really useful for us to kind of see the impact that we're having both within the debate experience and how people feel politically, but also how our debate experiences are affecting those people going forward in life and going forward in their college experiences and classes. That's all for me. Back to you, Doug. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandler. So everyone, as you can imagine, I'm really glad to have Chandler on the team because, you know, we've just been off to the 4 winds building this program. And, you know, I literally do have hundreds of anecdotal pieces of feedback. You know, I've interviewed students on Zoom and I have transcripts and we have letters from professors. We have the whole works of anecdotal evidence, but to really start to get methodical about this, really, you know, run surveys and really show macro evidence and proof of concept is what funders are asking us for, what we're asking of ourselves.
If I might jump in, it took me a while to understand what the parliamentary debate and the chair setup meant. Could you or you, Doug, or you, Chandler, explain a little bit about the role of the moderator, the role of the chair, how attendees address that? And then my second question is, could you explain a little bit about the debate happening in Washington, D.C. a week from today?
Chandler, why don't you start with a little bit, just a quick take on your view of the chair.
Sure.
Methodology, and I'll kind of jump in and support you on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so from my perspective, the chair is the facilitator of the debate. They are not in any way the spotlight. They just make sure that rules are being followed. So the main principles that we have in the debate are that you express a view that you believe. So you're not coming in arguing for a side just to take that side. And as far as the parliamentary procedure goes, you have to address the chair. So when you're making a speech, you're not directing it at another participant, you're directing it at the chair. And this really comes into play when questions are asked. So the speaker finishes, we open up the floor for a couple of questions. The questions are asked to the chair, something like, Mr. Chair, I want to thank the previous speaker for the speech that he gave. I'm really curious what he thinks about, and so on. And the speaker responds through the chair. I'd like to thank the questioner. This is what I feel. And we always use third person pronouns. There are no directed yous. And that's the thing that keeps the heat down. there's no opportunity for direct conflict or any agitation to occur between people because they're not talking to each other. They're talking through a third person, the chair. And I think that's the most important role that the chair plays, is as the intermediary. Doug, I'm sure you have additional things to add on to it, but those are the important things for me.
I just have come to place higher and higher value and respect for the parliamentary light procedure that April Lawson kind of architected, designed for us. And it's just some very mysterious thing how it works. I had a debate going at Lynn University in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and two students just really had it out for each other. And one made a speech, and then the other wanted to ask a question. And it was like, despite my best efforts, I was doing this on Zoom. That student was in the room just addressing that other student, and just they were really kind of going at it. And I actually called a full stop in the debate, but in a positive way. Just look, folks, this is actually what happens in ordinary life. You know, this is how it will go if we don't have a little bit of a guardrail or a process. And I'm going to ask and implore and exhort all of you to cleave to this procedure now for the next hour. And they did that, and it changed the conversation from one to one to one to many. You know, and the two students successfully transitioned from this kind of conflictive stance they had with each other. And this has happened so many times that I really place a much higher value on the parliamentary procedure and the chair training that we give and enforce than I did years ago. It's really kind of the key to elevating the dialogue. Now, as far as the debate next week, BridgeUSA, our incredibly innovative and energetic partners on the student level, are always surprising us. So they've gotten some funding in too, and they actually have organized a conference whereby they're using some of their funding money. They're flying in 100 students from around the country, putting them at the Hyatt Regency here in DC. They got hotel rooms, airfare, restaurants, and the whole works for a full-blown conference, and for 3 days next weekend. And the whole thing is launching with a Braver Angels debate on Friday night that we're going to chair for. April and I will chair for like 100 plus students at BridgeUSA. We're all really obviously looking forward to this because it's just Mecca for us. There's going to be so many opportunities coming out of that for Chandler to meet student leaders from all over the country and build them into lasting student cohort leaders in our program. And, giving us ability to work with many, many more schools individually on a sustainable level. And there's just so much upside to this. It's off the charts.
Well, thank you, Doug. This has been a wonderful introduction to Braver Angels. Really appreciate you and Chandler being with us today.
All right, great.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. I think we can wrap a few minutes early. We did record today's session, and we're going to make it available on our website after this. Emily will help me email that out to everyone. And Emily, is there anything else that we need to cover?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Can Doug send us or someone his slides, his PowerPoints?
Yes, I think we can do that.
Could you, we also have the website that's on ACTA's platform, but with the whole program is represented,
okay,
very well there. So we'll send that out to you too.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Good to see you all. Thank you so much.